Here is an attempted quick explanation of the vending machine in EZPZ Toolkit. So this is the paid vending machine, the one that actually asks for money. If you want to have a look at a free vending machine, you can have a look at this one where we don't actually charge people money. But the interesting thing about the one that charges money is it has a bunch of subsystems that work together to be able to work. So the normal sequence of events for this one goes like this. So the message about not having enough money goes away. If we try to buy something right now, we're not going to have enough money because our balance is 0. So the way to get more money is to just grab some money over here and we put some in the money box, go bloop, and then bloop, and then bloop. So we still can't buy Miffy because Miffy is $7, but we can buy Elmo. So if you have a look at this, bloop. And then you can see as we've bought Elmo, that subtracted our money. We can move Elmo over here. We can also buy Doraemon, but not Prime. Not enough money for Prime. Let's go buy Doraemon. And then now we don't have enough money for anyone. So that's the basics of it. So how does it work? Let's start with the money box. So the money box rig is set up over here, and it also talks to the cash system over here. The thing with the cash system is that it is just a number holder, and we can see that it has a prefix that just has the word remaining in it and then a $sign at the front, so we know that we're talking about money. If we have a look at the money box rig over here though, it has an interactable trigger. It's a filtered interactable trigger, so that means that it will only accept objects that have this trigger filter $2 component. So it needs a trigger filter component, and then the filter string also needs to be exactly the same as the filter string value that's set up here. So that's why it's able to accept it. So this money box will not accept anything outside of that. If we were to grab another movable object, let's say a ball, is that big enough? Okay, that hole might not be big enough for us to go through, so let's just reduce this hole here. But this is just a ball, this isn't money. So if we try to put that through, that's not going to get accepted. It's just going to come through the coin slot. It's different with this though, because if we put money in here, then that will get accepted. Okay. We can see that it also has a $5 cash slot, but let's just not worry about that because we're only dealing with $2 at the moment. Now there's also one more thing. We have this condition, or we have this tick box that says delete on enter. The idea with this is if the money gets accepted, we actually take it, we don't give it back. So that's what that delete on enter does. Next thing is the onTrigger enter event talks to the cash system, which is the object over here. So if we click on this, that gets highlighted. If we double click on it, we actually go into the object itself. And now this has this component called number holder, like I was explaining before. So this is where the money is stored. So that explains how we add money to the system. How do we buy stuff from the system? So we're going to fake this out a little bit and just give ourselves some extra balance by manually entering a number in here. So let's say $15. So magically just have $15. And when we press any of these buttons, there's a check that happens first before we're actually given the item. So in the case of Elmo, we can just take a look at the button Elmo and we can trace it back. So actually the button in Elmo, it just has a general interactable, which is a button. And you can see that the primary interact event doesn't immediately give us an Elmo object. It first needs to go through this price checker object, and that's within the dispensing system tree. And then the price checker object essentially first needs to check to see if there is enough money in the system. So you can see it's referring back to the same cash system that the coin slot is talking to. And if we have a look at the command inside number check utility, it's using this buy command. And what it's saying is, hey, number check utility, can you check to see if I can afford to buy something that's $2? And then the price checker utility has these events. So if I have enough to buy it, then I talk to the spawning system and then give you an Elmo. But if I don't have enough to buy it, I activate the timed message that says I don't have enough to buy. But let's go buy some toys. $5. So what happens after we buy this toy is this. So built into the function of buy is that if we have enough to buy it, whatever money that we said it would cost, which is this value over here, gets subtracted from the total balance. So if we just buy a bunch of Elmos, this will get subtracted by 2 every time. So boop, 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 until, let's just get rid of having too many Elmos there. And then it'll keep doing that until we don't have enough anymore. So once we don't have enough, this will now activate the timed message over here. So we can see that this timed message is set up in such a way that when it gets activated, it'll show up for 1 second. This is what this countdown event is for. And then it'll deactivate itself after 1 second. So let's go try to buy an Elmo. We have no money left in the bank. Boop. And you can see that it started the clock over here, and then it just, once it reached 0, it talked to itself, and then it said game object set active false. Okay, let's add a little bit more money here and explain in slightly more detail how the spawning system works. Let's keep using Elmo as an example. So once we click here, boop, we had enough money, so we bought the Elmo, and we subtracted $2 from our balance. And then if we have a look at our price checker over here, this is activating this event that says enough to buy. And if we keep tracing this along the line, it will talk to this object called spawner and spawner Elmo. And you can see that it's using this component called item spawner.spawn. So the job of this item spawner is essentially just to clone objects. And then we can see that we have a template of Elmo over here, and it's actually just hidden inside this box. It's talking to this object here, which is like that Elmo there. And when we say item spawner spawn, it will just copy that object. It will spawn it in this location over here, which is where this is being highlighted at the moment. Now, as I mentioned before, a simpler version of that sequence can be found in the free vending machine. So I'm going to go here. I'm not going to save that. And everything is free. So if we have a look at the button here, it just goes straight to the item spawner without checking to see if we have enough money. And that's how that works. Okay, let's go back to the Paywalled Vending Machine. Those interactions that I've described can also be explained using this diagram over here. So we have our cash detector, and then we have our cash system. So when the user puts money into the cash system, it'll activate the on trigger enter, and it's going to add $2 to the cash system. So now this same cash system is being used for when we go and buy something. So when we click the button for Elmo, the onPrimary interact doesn't immediately go to give us an Elmo. It first needs to check to see if there is enough money to buy Elmo. So that's the price checker object using the number check utility, and we're using the buy function. And then because the reference for this number check utility is talking to the same cash system that we add money to, that's how it works as a vending machine. Let's have a look at the events within the number check utility. If we don't have enough money to buy, we can see that it goes into the timed message, and this not enough to buy event just activates this timed message. So it goes, talks to the game object, and it says set active true. And we can see how that's set up. Let's open it up again. The dispensing system, spawner Elmo, and then the price check. So see, if we don't have enough money to buy, we talk to the timed message over here, and then we just use the game object set active command, and then that is true. So that's what activates it. Once it becomes activated, this countdown event will automatically start counting down, and once the countdown is complete and then the clock is 0, it just deactivates this message, so it becomes a temporary message. And let's just remind ourselves of how that manifests itself. That's just essentially pressing play, not putting any money into the bank, and then buying anything. So you can see not enough money, not enough money, not enough money, and that only shows up for 1 second. And if we do have enough money, this is the event that gets activated, and then it calls the spawn function on the Elmo spawner. Right. So the same kind of logic is operating on the other buttons as well. The only difference really is the price that you pay for it and then which item is being spawned. So if we take a look at the other buttons, let's say for example Doraemon, so you can see that the price check is different. It's 3. It's also talking to a different object, which is the price checker for Doraemon, and then this one is talking to a different spawner object. But it's the same kind of idea for the rest of them. So if you extrapolate that kind of logic, you can describe all of these. But there isn't enough room to fit it all in one page, so you might end up needing to use multiple pages for this system description. Anyway, that's it. Hopefully that was helpful.